So how do I share this?
Yes, we're live.
What do I
Hi,
do?
friends. I'm
Hi.
Nick Tiger. This is Rae Indigo.
Wow, it's so nice to see you. I love your
Yeah,
background. You're very
thank
fancy.
you. Thank you.
And the cool
And we're
glass.
getting set up here just to make sure the live is shared. So, Rae, if you shared that link earlier that says live now, check your page. You should be good to go.
Wait,
Once we
where is it? Where do I find it? I'm
the
on my.
link that says it's going to go live,
I've
and
gotten
then
Facebook notifications today. I don't know how to find it. Is it
it's
in
not on
my?
your page. Go to my page and share the one that says live now. You're on it right now.
Oh, exciting, exciting.
All right, so listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. This is the first episode of Tiger Talks, and I'm your host, Nick Tiger Quay, and I'm so blessed and thankful to have Rae Indigo on here. I think, I've been thinking about starting my little series for quite a while now, and one thing that's true, I could not think of a better first guest than Rae Indigo for all the things that's happening around us and happening in this world, and for all the things that it does. All right, so thank you so much for joining us today. This is the first episode of Tiger Talk. You need to mute the speaker on that side. I've been thinking about how to mute it. My little series for quite a while now. And one thing that's true, I could not think of a better guest than Rae Indigo for all the things that's happening around us and this world, and for all the things that it does.
Wow.
It wouldn't be, there we go. Yeah, you have to mute the live. Okay, all right. So what I was saying is I couldn't think of a better first guest for the Facebook Live series and YouTube Live series of Tiger Talks than Rae Indigo. The reason that we're here is, her and I really believe in giving back. That's been a big part of my business philosophy and who I am as a person ever since I was a kid. And I know Rae was raised in a really similar fashion as far as that goes. And so that's why we're here. We're here to give you some tips and insights, a little glimpse into our lives, into the things that we're doing today that are really helping us, and the things that are helping us stay strong through all this hysteria with the pandemic. And as you see down below, you can type in the chat. And if you type in the chat and your comment's good for what we're working on, we will post it right here on the screen, and you'll see your face and your comment right there. Rae, why are you here?
I'm here because I want to help people. I love beings. And listen, I work all over the country, all over the world, and I talk to people. They're in a state of crisis. They're afraid. They're anxious, and at the very safest level, they just feel like they don't even know what to do. They're just locked in and waiting. And then when you're waiting for something, you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. And you have this high degree of uncertainty. It's very destructive. We think it's okay, but it's not like you volunteer to go to an ashram or take a retreat. This is like a self-imposed thing, and you have the ground you stand on is not by your choice. So there's a high degree of uncertainty, which plays out across the whole life. And I want to help people to move through that.
Wow. I don't think I could have said it better. It is true. A lot of this is self-brought on. And we're not going to go into politics today. We're just trying to talk about how you can cope better with the situation you're in. And a lot of this, I've said this for years, a lot of things start up here. I know Rae's going to agree with me on that. A lot of things start in your head. And something that I truly believe in deep in my soul is that you can't always control your reaction or your first thought. But the second thought, you have complete control over. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, how to kind of program yourself and, things that you can really do to get that second thought positive and go.
Listen, I like that. I like that idea. I like what you just said. Like you said, you can't control the first thought, but the second one you can catch it. Because sometimes actually you can control the first thought, but this requires like a whole lot of kind of internal engineering. Which
you can control the first thought. Most of us aren't there yet.
I can get you there fast. I have some ways. Yeah. I have some ways.
We're going to get into that in a few minutes. So right now, just all the people at home kind of know who we are. Like I said before, I'm Nick Tiger Quay. I've been in Miami for almost 20 years. I was raised in the DC area in a military family. I was a chef for many years, had some health issues, had to make a decision on how to better serve people and be able to be creative and give service to others. And real estate seemed like a good fit. So I've been doing real estate here for, 14 years now. Super passionate about it. I do it on my paddleboard in a suit and bow tie. It's great. So that's kind of me.
You are my recommended real estate agent. Like whenever I have a lot of clients and they're like, oh, I'm trying to sell something, I want to buy something. I'm like, I got to talk to you because you're amazing. You have such a the thing about Nick, and this is why I love him, and this is why he's successful, is that when, let me tell you, so when anything hits him or comes at him or approaches him, his response is to get creative. So he's given a hard situation, and Zoro, stop. That's my dog.
He wants to say hi.
Yeah, apparently he does.
She has 2 Pomeranians, and they're so adorable. But anyway, so I guess I'll talk for a second while she's gone. So she's got the most adorable Pomeranians, totally different personalities, each of them. It's so funny seeing them together. There he is. Hi, guy.
This is so what's amazing about Nick is that you throw anything at him and it can be a totally tough situation. And his approach to it is, well, yeah, we can make that work. And let's get creative. And he'll take a property and he'll go through it and he'll present it in a whole other beautiful way. And the other thing he'll do is if there's something that's an issue with it or something needs to be addressed, he handles it. This guy's like, well, let's just that we need to paint the wall or whatever it needs. If he has a vision of like something beautiful, he creates beauty. And this is like very important. This guy creates beauty in everything he touches. And it's very rare quality. And I'm not even sure he knows how remarkable it is. I'm not sure he knows, but I know. And that's why I refer people to you.
Thank you. Well, actually, so back to how to be different and differentiate and pivot. That's what this show's all about. You know, this show has been something I've been teetering in my head, like I mentioned earlier, for years about it. And I was having a conversation yesterday or the day before, and I was going through the names and I said, you know, part of me just wants to call it Tiger Time. And she's like, wait a minute, what? Tiger Time? And I was like, I can do everything. I'm always a tiger. So anyway, that's where that comes from. Thank you, Rae. I really appreciate that. You know, your word and your blessing means so much to me. I have so much respect for you as well. And just all the people that I know in Miami and around the world that I know who are in the kind of yoga spiritual world, they're like, oh my God, Rae Indigo, you know, and a few of them are going to be watching if they're not already on right now with us. And I'm telling you, you have this ability. You walk into the room, people's lives change. Bill, my friend Bill.
I love him. Bill's
going to be coming in to say hi here in a little bit. I'm super excited about that. And you know, this is really what's going on. And I think it's so interesting because you have this ability to just walk in, the room shifts, the energy shifts, and it's amazing. People are just drawn to you anyway because you have this passion, this heart, this soul, and you're just so open. And I know we're kind of getting off topic here, so give me another 30 seconds about who you are now that I've kind of teased people with a little bit of that.
Well, I am, you know, any being is really, you're nothing. You're a nothingness that creates something around you. So you have a body, you have all these pictures in your mind, you have all of these things that you think are important, but your actual power is that you are nothing. And so from that nothingness, it's the most important thing. You can just create what you want. And when I walk into a room and I make people alive, it's because I'm not thinking of me. I'm nothing. And I just love them. I just radiate towards them and I grant them beingness exactly as they are. And so there's no distortion. There's no problem. I just look at them I'm like, wow, it's you. Because there's nothing in me. I'm not thinking, oh, I gotta do it. There's no agenda. And it's this because I realize that I am a nothingness. And which is such a profound thing. And out of that, you can create anything you want. And then it's just a question of what to create.
Which brings us here today. Listen, so by the way, guys watching at home, apparently there's been some shifts in how this format works, the program that I'm using. If you see the link down below, it says join live at this link. If you click the link as a guest, you can actually type live to us. Jackie, who I was just talking about, Jackie says hello. She was saying hello. Marilyn says, Jackie says hi, guys. Hi, Jackie.
I love Jackie.
Jackie's amazing. I'm telling you, the people that I love the most in Miami are big fans of yours. And then my parents say hello.
Hi, Nick. What are their names?
Joyce and Gary. Yeah, you didn't meet them yet. No.
Not yet.
They're in DC. All right, so now we're gonna get into some little fun quickfire questions. Just because I just thought it'd be a good idea. Okay, Rae, where were you born?
Pennsylvania. I was born in the house that I'm actually sitting in right now.
Oh, wow.
I was born right about a story below, right here. Yeah, it's super fortunate. Like my family has just held on to this beautiful farm. It's 60 acres in the foothills, the Appalachian Mountains in Amish country. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. And so I decided to come up here and spend time with my sister during our home retreat period. Yeah, so I was born right here.
Yeah, growing up in DC, we used to go to Amish country sometimes. My mom loved going up there with her sisters and our family, and they always had like the coolest little handmade toys with the nails and the hooks and the wood pegs, and I had a lot of fun with that. What's your favorite color?
Blue. Can you guess?
Nice.
Can you
What's
guess
that?
what shade of blue is my favorite color?
Baby blue?
Indigo.
Of course. Oh, geez.
Ah, jeez.
Okay. It's getting cheesy already. That was a good one.
Hold on. Dad joke straight out of the gate.
I thought I was cheesy wearing the tiger shirt. Um, so, what's one of your favorite foods?
Mashed potatoes.
Really? But vegan though, right? You've been vegan, 100% vegan your whole life?
Most of my life. I've eaten some fish, and I've, of
Yeah,
course, tried dairy. It just doesn't super agree with me. Yeah, I don't, but I've
I
never
get it.
eaten like chicken or steak or anything.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had beef or pork intentionally in about 14 years. So I feel you there. And I call it flexitarian. It's, vegan with a side of seafood and a side of elk once in a while if it's wild.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Vegan is a privileged diet. Like it's amazing, but in the U.S. we have a lot of opportunity to acquire whatever foods we want, so we can. It's easy, but not every place has that, and so I don't think that food should be a religion at all. But it should be something that you consider, like what is the impact of what I'm doing, like every other action. So I advocate for a plant-based, diet, but I'm not one of those vegan. A little bit I am actually, but it's like it's on the down low. It's just that I really love life, and
Yeah.
when you really, really, really love life, and you have a look and you say, well, do I need this? Do I need it? And can I work around it? And you start to change your priorities a little bit to be different. And so that is what I advocate for, is just like, can we acquire the necessary things for our body in a way that has the least amount of harm? And this is not a rigid thing. It's like, what's the equation look like? And so I think that the important thing for people is to just have that dialogue with themselves and just have a look and to really know what it means. If you're eating steak, like, what does that mean for all the beings? Because they're alive and they have emotions and they're beautiful.
Right.
I mean, I hang out with cows.
Yeah, yeah, the first time that I made a big shift, like I said, it was about 15 years ago. I was having a lot of health issues, undiagnosable, and long story short, it's been the biggest blessing in my life. That's for another story. But I learned a long time ago to always in life and in everything, whether it's physical fitness or paddleboarding or racing or biking or business or life or relationships, it's focus first off on the things that make you feel good within moderation, not what makes you feel bad, and focus on the things that you can do, not that you can. If it's bad for your body and hurts your body, you have a choice. I have a choice. I could eat a piece of bacon if I wanted to. I'd feel horrendous and I might end up in the hospital from it. Same thing with tomatoes, cucumbers, melons, orange, grapefruit. I'm not going to bore you with the whole list, but the point is,
you have a lot of allergies. Yeah. So this is like a different consideration.
well, but here we go. The point is, it's still a choice, and it's a choice to do it across the board. A lot of people that have allergies will still choose to eat the things that they're allergic to. That's for another conversation. There's people that are lactose intolerant. They just take the pill and eat the ice cream, and then they feel sick for 2 days. I don't personally get it. Just like you, I focus on what I believe and what makes me feel good, what I like, and what I enjoy. So now let's get into something. All right, do you have any new daily habits? I know that's a big trigger word for you.
It's not a trigger word. So I'm I don't advocate for habits. What I advocate for is choices. Yeah. And so when you have habits, these become these rigid things that you're like, I have to do it. And the moment that you have to do something, there's always a not doing. So you create the act of doing it and you create a counter force. And when you create this, now you have to struggle between doing it and not doing it. And if you don't do it, you violate your habits. Then you have a secondary function where you start to feel bad. So all of this to me just seems like a whole lot of useless noise in the mind field. So what I teach and what I share with my students is have a look and to engage with the things that are happening around you. Like, do you need to, when you wake up in the morning, do you enjoy coffee? Don't have it. If coffee is not something you enjoy, don't. If you like to get up in the morning and exercise, or you notice that you're heavy and dull and lethargic, then maybe you should do something about it. But this should be a choice, not something that's
Sure.
fixed. Because the moment you fix it as a habit, then it becomes something to fight against. And now you have this whole
Wow.
dichotomy. I'm a non-dualist, so
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what even to say to that. Like the yin and yang is great, but I think you're exactly right. That I think if you give yourself the opportunity to fail, and if you create opposition for yourself, that's not the best path to success. But in our heads, it's all about habits and 21 days and this and that. And
let me let me just reverse engineer this. So let's
yeah,
talk about the yin and yang. So the yin and yang is talking about the how to manage the physical universe. So the physical universe, you have a physical gathering, you have physical components, your energy, your mind, all this actually has a gradient scale of physicality. The yin and yang is a diagram for you to recognize how to interface and negotiate with dual forces. But you yourself, the you that's you, and if we follow this back, which I'm happy to do, you will see that you are none of this. You're non-dual. And that's the you that's you. So that you, when it recognizes the duality, can now take control of both the yin and yang and play with these forces to fail and succeed with the same level of enthusiasm, like one of my amazing teachers talks about. So it's not you. Yeah, if you're playing a game of dominoes and you lose, but your friend wins, why is it a suffering? But now if you're playing a business and
correct.
you lose, but somebody else wins, you suffer. You see, it's only the stickiness of identification that creates that problem. You are
It's
not.
tough. Yeah, the win. I'm a huge fan, as you know, which is what you were saying about hiring my clients. I'm a big fan of the win-win, and the win-win is tough, but it's all up here because it's like a really complicated game of chess. But for me, the chess table has different levels, so we're not just playing chess here. We're playing chess here, here, and then way out there too, all at the same time.
So
And
you're
so
saying you're a multi-level player.
always. Well, that's life, right? You always have to be at different planes at the same time, and you're worrying about me. I worry about what someone else is coming from, where are they speaking from, where are they speaking to, kind of how do we get a win-win? And this is how I do it. And it's a matter of really. Sometimes I almost put a diagram out, and I'm like thinking. I mean, I'm doing three this weekend that I'm trying to figure out. I got one done so far. I got two more win-wins I got to get by tomorrow. But it's complicated sometimes because sometimes both people have to feel like they have a leg up. So being the middle as a negotiator, it's a really interesting place for me because if I can let both parties feel like they won and the other person lost, we all win, and that's it. And then it's like congratulations, and they both love me for it, which is it's interesting,
You're
you
very
know.
good at it.
But if you let them think that they're both going to be even, and you're going to be even, and you're getting a good deal, and you're getting a good deal, they're like, but I want a better deal, and I'm like, you got a better deal. Psh, don't tell them. No. Anyway. I like that you said that because it's always this back and forth on that. Listen, so speaking of habits and other things and focuses for the day, what are a couple things is there anything like any new rituals or just things that you've committed to doing on a daily basis that you weren't doing before, or maybe it's something that you've said to yourself for a while, something you thought about doing in the future that you weren't doing that you're doing now. Has that happened for you in the last couple months?
Well, so let's cut to the root of this. So the question really is, how do you improve on every level across the board? And it's a very simple process. So what happens with most people is they're constantly acknowledging their failures. They're like, oh, my skin isn't good today, or I'm having a bad hair day, or I didn't close this deal, or I didn't email this person right. And so the focus, this is the whole problem, because your focus is always on what you did wrong and then trying to make it right. And if you just begin to shift that focus to actually acknowledging your successes, the things that you did well, like for instance, and this is totally sounds insane, but it's really effective. You wake up in the morning. This is what I actually do. I wake up and I go, good job, Ray. You woke up today. I actually like this simple thing, because what happens is like, it's not even positive thinking, because I'm not into positive or negative thinking. Like both of these will swamp you. It's not effective. You actually just wake up and you acknowledge, I woke up today. And then whatever you do next, you say, oh, wow, I drank water. You're amazing. And you get up and you do whatever, but and so you do it with the little things, and that creates a new mechanism.
You start and lead with a huge accomplishment.
Yeah. But most
It doesn't
people
have
don't
to
do
be a triple backflip. It's just you're telling yourself. That's what I'm saying. It's all about words and mindset. I think for me, a lot of the mindset comes with words. And I even, this is gonna
that. Okay,
sound
hold
kind
on,
of,
hold on. When you say mindset, let's like have a look at what the mind is. So your mind is these series, we can call them pictures, but they're perceptions. So you can imagine that it's like a series of pictures and you're creating them constantly.
exactly.
And you're recreating things from your past. And so when you begin to shift what you're actually creating and say, hey, oh look, I'm amazing. Look at my braid. And it seems really silly. And you're like, oh, that's silly. But if you do it, what you will see is that step by step, you'll actually begin to improve. And this process is something one of my teachers really made clear to me. A guy named Mir Ezra made it super clear. He's like, Rae, you don't acknowledge any of the things that you're good at or anything you do. And if you actually want to improve, you have to put your focus there instead of the failures. And when I started doing this, a lot
Yeah.
of it was super important, like feedback for me. It's very important to have like coaches in your life that call you on your shit, because I have the same pattern that most people. Yeah, like me. Like I coach people, but I need someone that's like,
I've been in a room when someone gets a phone call from Rae. But listen, I think what you're saying is so true. And for me, it comes down to words and words that you use, words that you say, whether you want to call it your favorite song that you sing every day, or a mantra, or a text that you're reading, whether it's a religious text or not. These things are so important. And I learned not too long ago to even change my music habits. And so there's a lot of music that I listen to now that I would jam out to and even sing at karaoke back in the day. And now it comes on my radio in the car or on my Pandora, and I'll put a thumbs down. And that's a new one for me. And it's been happening for quite a while, but it's interesting when you get to that different point, because I learned my value, and I learned that I had a new value for myself, and not just me, but for my time, for you, Rae, for my family, for my sister, for my cousins, for my girlfriend, for my clients, for my neighbors, for everybody. I knew that I had a better value than what I was doing, right? And with that, it was changing my words. What was a big start? There's words that I removed from my vocabulary. That was a little complicated, the first and second one. Once I got a hang of it, I can drop a word in like a week, or even shorter time sometimes. But it's about, I think, the words that we use and the things that we're reading and also repeating to ourselves. Like that's kind of where it starts to me. One of the things I do in the morning as I wake up, and I love, I'm a Tony Robbins fan. Not everyone's a big fan, but the point is he does these breathing techniques that it's not called cat call. It's something where well, in the nose though, in the nose, not the mouth, but you wake up and you do that and you do this priming and you really get your blood going. You get the little tingles, and I like it because it's like 14 to 20 minutes, and I force myself to get into this focused state, and it's one of the first things I do. And then you go through the motions, the breathing, the being, right? And then you get to a point that you say words, and you go through your the three things that you want to accomplish in the next week or 2 weeks or a month at your choice. And then you go to like step into that being done, and then you tell yourself the words that it's been done. Doing little things like that for me has been so much more powerful throughout my day. And when I'm consistent with it, everything around me, my energy, the way I walk, I mean, it's actually kind of interesting.
can I give you
But
a shortcut?
what's that?
That's a lot. Can I give you a shortcut?
Yeah.
So underneath that, what he's getting, so there's different gradients on like the algorithm of creating a being who pushes particles into the universe. So here's a swift shortcut. You can do all the Tony Robbins things that you want. They're amazing, and I love it. But here's a shortcut: is realize that you put the beauty, you put the joy, you put it into the world. So just by shifting your idea, instead of being like, I do all of these things, which is great. And I teach yoga, and I teach very long sequences of things that create an effect, because that's what people agree to. But the shortcut is you put it there. So in other words, right now, I decide exactly how this is. Like I put it there. I decided this is beautiful. This is fun. This is amazing. Or not. I put it there, and I consciously do it. So this is why a lot of people have trouble in relationships, is they're trying to get joy out of the relationship, beauty out of it. And you have to put it there. You literally decide.
Yeah.
And that's what he's teaching.
It starts completely with what you put in.
Yeah, let's put it there. And you
Whether
know,
it's with yourself or with someone else, at work, business, personal relationships, especially in romantic relationships. Let me tell you, I think it was Mike Tyson said something really
well, I've met
interesting one.
twice. I've met him twice.
Yeah. Wait, before or after Trump?
I met him in 2006 and then 2008.
That might have been in the middle.
I
Anyway,
met
so
him before vegan and after vegan. It was
yeah,
very-
there you go. So Mike Tyson says a few times now. He says, "You have to be the champ to wear the belt." To me, it's really simple,
yeah.
right? And I say this a lot when I'm talking to someone that's like struggling. They're like, Nick, you know, I want to do what you do. I want to do what they do, or this or that, or whatever it is. And I'm like, all right, well, you know, you have to be the champ to wear the belt. And this does not mean fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it to me is so. I even scolded someone today. I like this guy so much, and I want him to be so successful, and I believe that he truly will. And I'd love to hire him one day, but I can't. The fake it till you make it is not the way to go. It's be the champion, wear the belt, meaning you have to have that respect for others, know that you're capable of it, walk the walk, do what the champ's doing. You know, you're not going to be
No,
your
you have
first
to
6 months
know.
boxing. Well, he was a little crazy with his mindset too and his ideas, but the point is, let me tell you, he trained like he was the world. He trained like he was the best world champion ever 10 years before he was the world champion. It didn't just start one day and go to 6 months. And it's the same thing in business and same thing in anything in life. So anyway, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to know. You put it there. This is how you actually become resilient, which is our topic.
Yeah.
It starts with you, and not you, the body, not you, the mind, not you, the energy. It starts with you, this spirit, this nothingness. You just decide for no reason to put it there, to put the things you want, and you do it again and again and again. And there's, of course, a lot of different information and practices that you can become better at this, but your native state is actually a amazing being. Humans are you have so much potential. You're so amazing, but you hide it from yourself, and you hide it from yourself in so many ways. And this is what I spend my whole day doing, is trying to get people to actually be willing to show how amazing they are, and to show how beautiful they are, instead of no, don't look at no, you're amazing. And it's like you have to do a little bit of trickery and shenanigans so they actually can see it and take responsibility for how awesome they are.
Yeah. So something else I was wondering, I've been talking to a lot of different people about this through this whole, you know, COVID-19 situation and the self-quarantine, you know, sometimes mandatory quarantine, in fact, in a lot of our countries that our friends live in.
Depends on what country you're in. Yeah. South America, they're on full military lockdown.
You know, so we can give some people some tips at home. Is there kind of 3 things? I mean, I know that a lot of the stuff for you is almost your day as usual, because I know how you are. But is there 3 things that you think other people can be focusing on throughout the day, whether it's, you know, focusing on their why, but their real why, knowing what it is, spending more time really deep in themselves, understanding why do they do what they do, trying to discover if what they did before is what they want to do when the situation gets to the new normal, whether it's remembering your family, your loved ones. You know, is there kind of 3 things that you can think of right now that might help people if they carried it through them throughout their day?
Well, so the most important thing, and this is like a hard thing to confront because you've been given so much misinformation about it, is that your emotional state, you have to understand that when you get into a low emotional state, you're being hit by the universe around you. And so how do you get out of this low emotional state, whether it's depression, antagonism, fear, sadness, any of these low emotional states? This is that point when the world sits on you and you start to think that you're an object. This is there's only one thing you need to know. This is the hands down most problematic thing. And the first thing that I do when I work with any client or any group is I change their emotional state. How do I do this? Is a series of protocols. But for you as a human being, how do you do it? The easiest way is to decide. You just decide for no reason at all to move your emotional state towards something else. And then you'll see it'll come back down. You decide again. Now, of course, there's a longer algorithm to out-process this densification where the reality sits on you. Hands down, it's not three things, it's just one. When you raise your emotional state, it's as if you're lifting yourself out of a swamp. And then when you rise up, and then you rise up into the sky, and you rise up and you rise up, and now you look down on the whole world and you have such an expansive viewpoint. It's very easy to know what to do. So the problem isn't action items. The problem is the emotional state. And we've been taught in the West that your emotions really matter and they're so important. You need to look at them, you need to process them, you need to figure them out, you need to go into your trauma, you need to go into your past, and totally, it's a lie. You need to, the past, the more you look at your past is the more you have no future. So if you actually, want to be successful, got to get out of the emotional swamp. How do you do this? This is
a whole other, that's like a video series, how to get out of the swamp. No, but it's so true. And I think, something I've said to friends and colleagues that call me when they're having some problems or drama in their life, I would say, it's called the present for a reason. I feel like, this is God's gift to us as a present. You really have to enjoy it like it's a present. I mean, this moment right now, Rae, we're never going to repeat this again, honey. Never, ever, not right this one. It's past already. It's gone. So now we have to focus on now. And I think people forget sometimes what past means. Our intro, I don't know, 31 and a quarter minutes ago is past. You can't, first off, you can't buy time. Time is the most valuable asset anybody in this world has. I don't care where you think you are on the hierarchy or whatever you want to say about the world. The one asset we all have that nobody else can ever take away from us or give us or buy or anything or put a value on is time. So I think time for me is invaluable. So what do you do with it? Who do you talk to? Who do you spend time with? All these things, to me, that's such an important choice. And fortunately for me, unfortunately for some other people, started making some really tough choices years ago now on my time. And I'll tell people sometimes that, hey, I just, this just doesn't fit in to what I value for my time. And they get really offended. And I said, no, listen, let me explain to you why. And you can't buy time. You can't repeat it. There's no pause. There's no replay. There's no take backs. There's no, next life, or at least not in this same, different kind of, sorry. There's no come back to the same place in the same life, the same thing like in the video games. The next life is a whole other thing, but it's not exactly as we know it. And this is why I think it's so important to value every single freaking moment that we have and do with it things that mean something to you, which is why Rae and I are here right now. It's because we have this deep appreciation for life and for people and this passion for others, which I never understood when I was younger, how much I had a passion to serve others. And it wasn't until I started to do it, it just piques my interest more, and it piques my excitement more to serve others more. And then later on in life, I realized, oh my God, this is actually like a calling or whatever you want to say. And something that I enjoy, like this, I have more fun helping others than I do doing pretty much anything else in my life, whether it's in personal life or business or health and food and diet. I'm going on a tangent.
But what else is there? I mean, and when we start to, the thing with time is don't be so certain that it's so real, because when you find you are something outside of the space-time continuum, and that's a hard thing for people to confront. But this idea of time, first off, like, do what you will with your time, but but what most people are doing, and this is the problem, is that most people, and guys, catch yourself in this, you're so the past is gone, but what do is that you have all these kind of stored pictures. You have all these stored pictures, and you recreate them. You're just like, oh, but this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me. Yeah, and that's why your emotions get terrible.
Most people don't get, like in a book, you don't get to the 12th chapter and go back to the second. Sometimes you go, wait a minute, who's that Captain Chris Smith guy? I can't remember who is what ship he was on. Let me go back and look. But you look for a reference. You don't reread and relive that chapter. You don't. It doesn't happen. None of us do that. But in life, we have a habit, just like you said. We also project the past on someone else. And that it's so interesting for me. And I think that anyway, it's a matter of, like I said, it's enjoying now and understanding for me that the past is chapters, it's books. They're gone. They're written. I've read them. Now I have a choice. Do I choose to actively read a similar chapter because I created it in the future? And let me tell you, we create it 100%. We do.
You do.
Or do I choose to? Yeah. Or do I choose my own adventure a different way? Because I didn't like this chapter when I read it the first 5 times.
I love those books, the Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Yeah. I want to go. Yeah, let's go over there. Screw the pirates.
And if I chose the wrong adventure, I'd be like, well, I'm just gonna go back. Yeah,
Anyway,
it's an excellent analogy, because if you can catch yourself in the mechanism of recreating past images, how often are you doing this? Because every time you're doing this, for sure, emotionally, you're definitely like in a frequency that's not useful. So in general, emotions are not useful. Like yoga is, like, we can use them to create an effect. But most people, they think that they are their emotions. They're constantly in this emotional storm. And the Western, like, psychology and everything, which makes a lot of money off keeping people sick, has taught them to go back, keep recreating the emotions and hoping that somehow you're going to get out of your past by going back to your past. It's such a, I'm trying not to swear on camera. It's such a level of insanity. And it's just
exact definition of insanity.
It's exactly that. That insanity is attention stuck in the past. That's what it is. That's exactly. It's not doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. That's tenacity. That's what I do. I'm like, well, I did a forearm balance and that didn't work. Let's try it again. And I expect a different result. That's tenacity. Insanity is your attention is in the past, and you just keep. Yeah. So, how to be resilient? Bring your attention out of the past.
What's that?
How to be resilient, get your attention out of the past and create something useful now. Do something amazing.
On resilience, I got a question for you on resilience now. So on resilience, I talk about this a lot more from a resilience onto the economic and environmental level. But I think in life is really important, and something resilient for me, it goes back to my childhood. And a lot of times I remember these lessons that I learned that I didn't know I was learning. Let me tell you, the most valuable lessons that I learned in my life, I had no idea was a lesson. And I don't even know if my parents knew that they were teaching me so much. Mom and Dad, I love you. Thank you so much. I don't know if they know how much these things meant to me, but when you meet them and you talk to them for like 5-10 minutes, you'll be like, oh, whoa, because so much of who I am today literally comes from these lessons. And so about resiliency, is there anything from your childhood, a lesson, whether it was good or bad, something that you went through that you're really using today, something that you remember from growing up as a teenager or a young adult or a kid that you're really carrying with you right now that's kind of helping you through this time, Rae?
Well, it helped me through every single time. So there was a point when I was about 12 years old. And before this, so I was raised in Amish country, Pennsylvania. I had hippies for parents. They did yoga before it was considered a cult. It was a cult. Before it was cool. Now it's cool. Didn't used to be. We were vegan. Like, it was not like what you would consider in this area of the country something okay. And so I was. So for a large
my childhood, so I get it. It's all good.
So for a large part of my childhood, I dealt with a lot of harassment, a lot of it wasn't particularly pleasant. And when I was 12, I had this totally out of body experience where I was like in the middle of a spelling test, and I'm like trying to write, and I'm super picked on. I'm considered basically mentally retarded at this point. Everybody abused me. I was taller than everyone. I was very large, a bit overweight, and no one liked me. So now I'm trying to take this spelling test, and all of a sudden I lose my vision, and I'm like, oh my God, you suck so much. You can't even see. And I was having all these problems where I was passing out. Like, I had a lot of issues.
Nobody would ever guess that.
No one would ever guess that. No one would ever I know a lot has changed. So, but this is the moment it changed. And so I'm here in this spelling test, and everything starts to go white. I lose my vision, and I feel myself lift above my body. And I look down, and there's I just realized, I was like, oh, all of my suffering and all of these people are totally compulsive. And I'm listening to all of their viewpoints on me, and it's affecting me, it's affecting me, it's affecting me, it's affecting me. And then I just knew that all I had to do is put something else there, literally change it.
Yes.
So I came back into my body, and I was like, oh, they just are, most humans are totally reactive. And so if you just begin to know how to push particles, they'll respond. And so you talk about this, like when I walk into a room and there's a different experience, it started in this moment when I realized that I could change the frequency at a particle level by my spiritual engagement. And I started when I was 12. Within that year, I won all the awards for like science and like the yeah, I was considered mentally retarded, and I just changed it all. And
You do it intentional. I know there's a lot more to you than I know, and I think I knew all right. But so you've like cracked this code, you figure this out, and you like, do you have the intention before you go in the room, like, this is what I'm going to do with it? Or because I've kind of seen you, I've seen different Rays for sure in different environments. It's really beautiful for me because I'm like, I'm somewhat of a chameleon when I want to be, but then if I want to be like the center of attention, I'm the guy getting up on stage, and when there's dead air, I'll go grab the mic. I'm like, put me back on stage for 5 minutes, and I'll entertain the crowd and get them a hoot and holler. But is this something that you do with intention? Like you walk in the room, like that's your intent, and you just know it deep in, or are you just like putting it out there and it just kind of comes to you?
Full on. I am so intent and clear on my intention. It's not a picture. I put an intention there, and I just allow the reality to rearrange around it, because I know that as a spirit, I am more powerful than all the physicality. I know it. And so it's natural and easy. And it started at this moment when I just was like, oh, this is what's going on. And because most people haven't switched on their abilities, which is what I do, I teach people how to switch on this ability. They can't do it, and they're like in this negotiation and consideration with everything. I'm just not. I'm just like, here's the thing. And at first, reality might push back and say, no, that's not the thing. And I'm like, yeah, but it is. Yeah, but it is. Yeah, but it is. Yeah, it is. Then it is.
Well, so I want to come back to intention, but first, I got people on Facebook that are saying hi. Pavlina, hi, say hi to Pavlina. Pavlina is one of my favorite people. She's one of the athletes that I've had the pleasure of coaching and paddleboarding with for years now. So awesome.
I haven't checked the Facebook. I posted.
Yeah, it used to show up live in this program that we're using right now, but for some reason it's not. So I kind of have my two screens here. And Monty Lane, she says that when I was talking about Choose Your Own Adventures, that was some of her favorite books as well. And she was making fun of me because I say to her a lot, the Mike Tyson thing, that you have to be the champ to wear the belt. There's several phrases that I'm not allowed to say anymore, and I think that's made the list for one of them. Wow, okay.
What other phrases are you not allowed to say? This is things I like to hear. What's the no words?
So, no, it's not, there's there's a couple that I admire, and they become really dear friends of mine and clients as well. And the foundation of their life and their relationship, they've been married for quite a while now. Both their daughters are out of college, and they've created such a foundation for themselves around faith and spiritualness and where their beliefs are, that I think it's sometimes you meet people that want to help you, and they want to help elevate you to what they've achieved in their life. And it's one of those couples for me. And that's very rare. It's very rare that you meet a couple or a person that's so genuine. They just want to lift others around them up, especially when they see in you what somebody might have seen in them, or what maybe they wish somebody saw in them. So I've done that with people that are sick and having health issues. And I go back to what I did for myself, and I go through their diet. What are they eating? Even today, even down to the words, the music. Let me tell you, because this can all affect how you physically feel. But anyway, so there's references to them that I think she's heard way too many times, and references to the Mike Tyson thing and a few others. But hey, it's all good, and it's things that have really changed my life, and things that I truly believe in. And I think it's important for all of us to have, people. Now, I don't believe in everything Mike Tyson does, that's for sure, but there's some things that he said that stuck with me. And if I remember one thing that somebody said, that's a win for them. Like if this video project, if this podcast video today affects one person in a positive way, please tell us, because that I know it'd mean a lot to me, and it'd mean a lot to Rae. I think that's why we do things like that, right? So anyway, that's kind of my quick version of what I'm not on.
But what you just said there's some really important things in there. So how do we make the world better? How do we improve any person? Is by seeing the good in them. And everything else, you don't even see it. Like when I go to deal with my students, and I have, like, let's say I have 30 people and they have all kinds of shenanigans and they have this issue and that issue and all, I just don't even see it. I just keep putting there the best version of them. I see the potential and I hold the potential. And this is what I see. And the rest of it it's not real to me. I don't allow it space. And that is the power that you have with any person. It's by
Sorry, I pressed a button.
and that is the power that you have as a spirit, is that you can actually change what's happening by your conviction, by your intention alone, to see the good in other people. And I'm not saying it's easy, but it's actually easier than the other thing, which is where you see the problems and you criticize. This idea of like constructive criticism is totally wrong. No,
there's typically not much constructive about constructive criticism.
It doesn't help people. Like it just doesn't.
That's what I said earlier when this was on Instagram. This is an up and coming entrepreneur that I'm a big fan of his. I mean, I like him a lot. He's great intentions. And I have a habit, because I care, I care, and I'm not charging him for any of this. I care, and I see some things and I call him out on them, just like I think you would. And I say something like, hey, really, or, come on, bro, is it really like that? Because I know he's stuck in the he made.
I'm totally scrappy on the interwebs.
Well, I care, so I tell him, and I don't consider that. I think when someone says, can I give you constructive criticism? That's like, can you give me a license for 5 minutes to be a real jerk and tell you some stuff that I feel about myself? That's what I think about constructive criticism, because it's really not constructive for them. It's constructive for you, but you should be look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself the same criticism. Anyway, listen, really quick, I want to talk about intentions, but first, I got Monty Lane's laughing, and she has a question. So listen, if you guys have questions at home, I need you to type in very specific questions, because there is a delay from when we're watching the video to when I actually see the comments on Facebook. So, Monty Lane asks, does Rae have any programs that she shows you how to connect with that part of yourself?
Oh yeah.
And when you realize it's all in you. So Monty Lane wants to know if you have any programs that you specifically teach or that you do or that you have that will, I guess, teach you how to connect with that deep part of yourself when you really realize, to help them realize that everything's within us. Yeah. But if it's more specific than that, I need her to ask me that on Facebook.
Yeah. So let me clarify. So every single program I have has only one goal, which is the liberation of sentient beings. Now, I work with different modalities. So for some people, the body is very real to them. So I teach a lot of physical things. And the moment that your body becomes balanced enough that you're willing to entertain the option of dealing with other levels of the self, then I move to those. So yeah. So whatever whoa, kitty, whatever is real for people is where I move to. So if energy is real for you, if chakras are real for you, if meditation is real for you, if the physical body is real for you, I meet you there. And then I begin to just kind of restore information until you realize what you actually are. The programs that I have upcoming, I have a 200-hour yoga certification that's offered in 50-hour chunks. The first part of that is alignment and mind science. It's super interesting. The next thing that I have, which is a year-long program, is a 300-hour certification where we, it's called the Secret Path to You. And it's,
oh, wow.
It's
I mean, just the name, I'm like, what's my secret path to me? I want to know it, man. I want to go hike that thing and hike the waterfalls, and I love it.
This is one of my most exciting projects because I'm actually working with my teacher on this, and we're teaching the lost art and lost teachings of the Yoga Sutras. So it's super comprehensive. And yeah, if you go through this, we go through every level of the self, and you go
You
through
say it's a year.
mirror. Yeah. We were working on it for 4 hours last night.
I mean, there's no shortcut to life. Why would there be a shortcut to enlightenment and to finding yourself, right?
This is pretty much a shortcut. It's very fast, but
well,
you have to.
I guess it's a year. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. A year versus 20. Hey, so Mighty Lane gave specifics. She says, basically, okay, let me see. I got to read a bunch of comments here. Do you have a program or any tips? Let's go with that. On how to connect with yourself. The example is when you were telling your story a little while ago about when you were in school and you were, not the same Rae that you are today, and then bam, you became this powerful, beautiful self. Is that part of one of your transformational courses? Because I know you do a lot of transformational work as well. Do you want to? And then after that, we have to talk about. I should have written it down. What did I say a second ago? We had to get into intention. After this question, we're going to go into intentions, and then we're going to get to the next question.
So yeah, everything I do is towards this exact same purpose. What the issue is. So let's look at the problem. The problem is that it's fairly simple. Is that you have a lot of fake realities that you're absolutely sure are true. You're sure that they're true.
We believe it because we tell ourselves that, and that's what we're told and programmed to do.
Yeah. So your mind is a series of force and counterforce programs, and within this there's all this information. You're sitting in this information.
That's what we're told and programmed. I can't comment back.
Nice. Yeah, I know. I couldn't either. Yeah. And so what's happening is that you're in this thing, and you're sure that these things are true, and so you're creating your own prison at the same time trying to get out of it. And this is the whole thing with this universe. And so what really effective yoga practices do, and what the mind science does, is it helps you to spot these fake realities, these prisons, these blocks, and all you have to do, it's no effort. You just see them, and the moment you actually see it, it goes away. And the moment you see the truth about it, goes away. And the moment you see the truth about it, it goes away. And so all of my programs are just what you're willing to receive, how much we can delete these fake realities and give you the power to actually create a future. And so it's a process of this. And when I meet you and I see like where you are, it's no problem. I immediately start to take you towards liberation. So every one of my programs has only one goal. It just depends on what the students are drawn towards.
So, I have to imagine that there's kind of daily things that you have to wake up with, like intentions, right? So I know that was something we talked about earlier. Are there any kind of steps that you suggest that anybody at home watching can take that aren't super experienced with this? Is there
of course. So let's
quick tips to intentions that will help change your day tomorrow?
Yeah. So okay. So I'll give a better explanation. So
I know that's like a cheap, quick one, but
yeah, but give me a second. So basically,
how to create and where to get them. Whether now, you can respond with, I don't know, it could be easy as a book. Like, where do you find your intentions? What do you look for? Or how do you create?
Let's explain what it is. Let's just explain what's happening. So what most people think of as an intention, like if I ask you, what's your intention for something to have in the future? The first thing that you'll do is you'll create a picture. Okay, so you'll and this is what you've been taught to do, and it doesn't work. So let's just watch how this happens. So what you'll do is you'll be like, oh, I want to be rich, and I want to have this house and this boy. Like you'll create a picture, right? And so then you create this picture and you put it there, and you put that picture there, and then the moment that you have this picture there, you begin to measure everything against it. And so your whole dialogue now becomes dual. Again, we're dealing with duality here. Becomes this dual thing where you have the picture of what you want, but you're not there. So that you're never going to be there because the picture can never happen because there's no duplicates in this universe. So it's not even possible.
Wow.
But yeah, so watch how this happens. Watch the mechanism. So you put that picture there and you're like, it has to be this, it has to be this. And you're like, you put your energy into it and you keep recreating this picture and this picture. And then you look at your life and it doesn't match the picture. And now you create all these secondary pictures and these sufferings. You create this whole drama around it and nothing happens and it doesn't work. That's what most people do. This is what they taught you in The Secret, what they taught you with your fucking vision boards. Excuse me, they don't work. So worst thing ever. Worst thing ever. So let's just have a yeah, it doesn't work because it doesn't work. How do I know? People that are successful don't talk about success. All the people that are talking about successful, I want to be successful, I want to be, they're not successful. So how do you become actually successful in anything? You don't worry about the pictures. In fact, you throw them away like a tennis racket. Pew, 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 picture bye. Throw them away, throw them away. What you do is you create this, you create an idea. You create an idea. Oh, this is my idea, but without a picture, just an idea. And you give the idea a name, and then you put some forward pressure from your spirit and you push the particles in the universe and you don't worry about it. You don't look at pictures. You don't check if it works. You don't confirm a thing. You just push the particles into the universe. And that's your intention. And that intention is just like a heartbeat. The intention. So now when you go through your life, so for instance, let me show you how this worked out for me. So here's an example, a real-time example of how we put an intention and it manifests. So I have forever wanted to put for 5 years, not forever. For 5 years, I've been trying to put a 200-hour online course online. And I went through tech issues, software, for a long time. And it just was never the perfect moment. And then I'm touring all the time and I'm teaching and I'm tired. And I was like, this year it's going to happen. I don't know how. I'm putting this course so that I can reach all of my students around the world online. But I didn't know how. And now that I've really understood intention, it's not a picture. You just put it there. And then you just keep putting it there, but without a picture. And then all of this shenanigans happened with this COVID virus and everything. And I had to cancel all my tours. Everything got canceled, but I had the whole tech software at this point built. So I was able to just launch and roll out my courses. And it literally became all my students are at home. They still want to study. They're super excited. And so it's been, but if I had a picture of how it should be, and then it has to be like this, it had to be like this, I had all these other things that would have unfolded. But because I just held the intention without agreeing to any of the things that are happening in the world, like very unreasonably, this is my intention, not with a picture, just keep putting it there and without effort. So I'm not struggling against things and it's just unfolding. I mean, just before this call, I got 3 registrations. Like, oh my gosh, like, how can I send you money? And that's intention. But the issue here is that people have so many illusions around intention. They've been taught so many things that don't actually work. And if you want to work, come to one of my courses, especially the one on the Yoga Sutras with my teacher, because he is the master.
I like that. So I guess one of the questions that I really want to know is, we kind of all a lot of us had like an idea of like our typical day before this COVID-19 thing, before the self-quarantines and after. There's been a lot of shifts, the gyms are closed.
I really miss going out for food.
I just started getting takeout once in a while. I wouldn't for the first 2 months or whatever it's been. I would cook every single meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, because I eat a lot. I like food. But if there was, let's say there's like let's say two things in your day that changed from your typical day to today. I'll tell you what mine are. Mine, in the beginning, I was paddleboarding a lot. And now, because of all the marinas have shut down, I'm actually really irritated about this. So I love paddleboarding. It's one of my passions, and they've taken it away. Tried to. I could still kind of sneak in some places, but it's gotten more complicated. So the point is that shifted. So my exercises now, HIIT exercises in Tabata. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Tabata. I think it's Tabatta. Not fun. It's like really quick stuff for 30 seconds and then beep and then off and then on. And let me tell you, it is tough. And I'm like slowly growing and getting shape. I'm really excited, but man, it's not as much fun as lifting weights, not as much fun as paddleboarding. The second thing for me is my business, how I do my business. It's all virtual. I mean, I did a lot of virtual before, as you know, a lot of 3D virtual tours and a lot of Skype videos. My clients are a lot of foreign nationals and that, but I miss it. I miss the social interaction, and I miss being with people all the time and being able to read the body language and feel their energy in that. Those are probably the two biggest things for me is, yeah, and what my shift was as far as day to day before and after. What about you?
Well, I mean, everything in my life got better.
Wow. I want to be Rae Indigo for a day.
Well, but how does that happen? It has a lot to do with just the way I see things. So first off, like I had a festival. You knew about my festival. I had a huge festival. I've been working a year.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So my festival, of course, got canceled, and it was, a year of work. And then I tour, so I had to cancel my tours to Sweden and Peru again, and so it essentially is about $60,000 to $100,000 lost revenue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But so the goal was, So here's the goal was for this year was to put my work online, because when I tour and I teach, I only reach 30 to 50 people at a time, and it's not recorded, and so it's lost. And so for me, this first off, my students still want to study. So and finally internationally, so we've been teaching courses, and I have people in Switzerland, Sweden, Mongolia, New Zealand, Isle of Man, which is outside of England, Peru, Colombia, Ecuador, LA, Hawaii. So all of a sudden, instead of being very locational, I was able to reach the heart space, the minds of all of my students, and all of it is now recorded. So this was a dream that just showed up, and I'm actually so the social part, like most of my socialization is actually working with my clients and my students. And if you know me, the rest of the time I'm a bit of a nerd, so I spend a lot of time reading or practicing or studying or taking courses. So now, like I got to come up to Pennsylvania, I'm here with my sister, and I'm like hiking every day, so I'm not in Miami. And I love Miami, but they can't really hike, there's no mountains. So everything in my life got better. And yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty, but not really, because every time an obstacle comes up, I'm like, oh, I jump obstacles. So the reason why everything got better is I create it, and I like to have fun with things. And at the end of the day, like, yeah, you lose $100,000, you win $100,000.
You're 100% right, and I think, depending on what you look at, I think there, a lot of people, and you and I were having this conversation yesterday, and every time we talk, I'm like, God, I wish I would have recorded that. You and then my friend Kevin, I have a couple of friends that I'm like, we need to start recording this. So that's what we're doing. But
I'm having so much fun. Like I'm having like the most, like I wake up, I'm like, I should be upset. It's the apocalypse, right? And then I'm like, I get to hang out with my sister. And today we went like morel picking up in the woods. And we found all these amazing mushrooms, and we taught 2 classes. And I got all these new students, and we're here. Like, so actually, aside from the apocalypse happening, I'm having an amazing time. But I was also prepared.
Like, I believe that sometimes I think that we're all given opportunities, and we're all given doors and different things like that, and paths. But I think it's still up to us to walk it. And, it's up to you to get to the end and realize it's not the end. The pavement might end, but there's gravel. And then when you get into the gravel, there's a wall with some little handholds on it, and you can go up the wall, and you might hear some water, right? And then like you hear the water, but you're like, but I don't see it. So is it really there? I don't know. So then like you climb up this little handhold of a wall on a hike, and then you get there.
You're a pirate. You're a pirate. You're ready for adventure, and I understand.
But here's the point: you get all the way to the end, and you get to the end of the end of the end, and you go over all the rocks, and then you're at like the top of this beautiful pine ridge in the middle of a forest, and you have a convergence of 2 rivers and a waterfall. To me, that's one of the most beautiful things in the world. My point is that if you don't go past the end and keep on going and going and going until you literally physically, that's the end, you'll never know what the end is. But that, in fact, for me, isn't the end. That's just a level of, oh my God, I learned something new. I got to experience something. Well, now I get to go back down this path and go up a different one. and so I think that it's all about like how you look at life. And I think this COVID-19 situation can really be an adventure if you want it to be. Let me tell you, I was a little scared. I had, about $5 million in deals fall out in 10 days. I might have shit a brick. I had a moment. And my moment lasted a couple of days. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But you know what? I stepped back and I thought about it. I have some really good people around me too. And you have to create opportunity, and I think it's like, how do you do it? And, whether it's business or personal life or whatever you have going on, I think you have to kind of recreate yourself and pivot. Everyone's using this word pivot today. And it's true. When you're playing football and you're running at this guy and you see he gets bigger and bigger the closer he gets, you need to spin and pivot and run like hell the other way, because this big guy's coming at you. But it's still a choice. You can do what you think you should do and drop a shoulder, or you can run around him and go the other way and still.
Let me touch on this. I gotta hit this one. So when you say pivot, let's understand how you pivot, because we have this idea like you need to pivot. I'm like, hold on. Watch this. I'm going to bring it back. This is very useful. So if you want to pivot, what stops you from pivoting is your emotional state. If you're experiencing an emotion, the universe is hitting you and you can't move fast. If you want to be fast, you need to get your perceptics, your life experience, your reality above emotion. And there's a whole universe above emotion. So if you want to pivot and if you want to be like, all right, I lost everything, great, what's next? That's an emotional, So, but if you're like, oh my God, I lost everything, and what am I going to do? And I'm losing my house. Okay, I lost my house. I'll get a new one. I'll find, if you can keep your emotional state high, then you can do fast. And emotions are directly tied to your speed of response and communication. Let's look at this, because it's really important people understand this. Someone who's depressed, when incoming data comes in, what's their response like? It's slow, if at all. Yeah, it's slow. So now if we go up a little bit and we go into like fear, someone who's in fear, when some information comes in, which a lot of people are in fear right now, or anxiety, which is a gradient of fear, they run. So you're not actually able to perceive. When you're in fear, you pull back all of your attention units and you try to run. The moment you run from something, you can't control it. So your emotional state. Yeah, the moment you run from something, you cannot control it. I'm a martial artist. I have 30 years of martial arts practice. The training in Wing Chun, when I went through my training in Wing Chun, big dudes, like 250-pound dudes coming at you, you have to learn to explode towards them. Why? Because what you run from, you cannot control. You just can't. Listen.
Put it on the screen. What you run from. Listen, what Rae's saying is so important.
It's super important, because when you run from something, you collapse your attention units, and for sure it's going to hit you. You're actually pulling a loss. You're drawing failure towards you when you're in fear. Listen, if you're going to die, honey, don't face it with fear. Get ready, because when I'm going to die, I'm going to be like, all right, it's time. Probably not going to die, because that attitude, the moment that you're at fear, you pull the thing towards you. The moment you run from it, you can't confront it. You can't control it. You can't do anything about it.
You want to know what's interesting? So my father was in the military for over 20 years, 24 years at Colonel. He was a commanding officer in Vietnam, and his idea of things is so different than most people, including myself. And I love that I get to learn these kind of things from him. And what you're saying is so true, because one thing he's always said is, I think, one, the way he was able to get all of his as many as his men home as he was from the war, but everything in his life, though, it's this like mission mode, and it's run towards it, right? But it's not just run like a barbarian. It's calculated. He knows what he's doing, and he knows what to do, and he's already seen the outcome. But my point is that he knows where he's going. I've had situations in my life that I've called him, and I've called him and said, Dad, and part of me wants to run the other way sometimes, and part of me wants to go here. And his attitude is like, but son, why? I'm like, well, what do you mean why? Like, well, why? Because I either have a story from my past or a story that I heard somewhere else, and I'm telling myself this story. And my dad's attitude is really simple. He's the one where he's like, You know, if it's your time, it's your time. Now, can you do things to set yourself up for situations? Yes. Can you learn? Can you train? Can you
That's
watch
not fear. That's not
videos?
running from it. That's prepare. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly the point. The point is instead of running and getting into like this defensive, that's more of a run than a defense. 'Cause I think defense for me is, oh, that's a whole other conversation. But I
It's not
think that
fear. Yeah,
some,
yeah. We're talking about fear, and the moment that you're at the emotional state of fear, you can't you stop controlling, you stop handling your life, and so your
yeah,
life is the collapse. And for sure, you gotta get out of fear. You gotta at least get into anger, which
yeah,
I'm at least go at
you
least
can
because at least then
focus.
you're fixing it. But it's not the
If
again.
Yeah, if you're focused in anger and anger makes you be proactive, then once in a while I think it's okay.
It's a step
Um,
up. It's a step. It's better than fear. So when,
I
like
know.
right now, let me explain to you something that I'm observing is when people are in fear, which I've seen a lot on the internet. This is not good. But when they start to fight with me and they start to antagonize me, and my friends are like, "Oh, Rae, people like antagonize you." I'm like, "Yeah, it's good. That's good because it means that at least they're pushing back." Now,
Yeah,
once they push back, because I'm a ninja, as soon as you give me like enough anger, I'm going to move you up to a state, to another state, an emotional
sure.
state. I'm trying to improve your emotional state because when you get your out of this emotional range and you get into another range, this is where you can create success in anything.
Is there a couple of things that you can think of that you practice that helps you go from that anger to focus, that fear to focus, that anxiety to focus?
Honestly, I mean, honestly, there's yeah. So how do I? Okay, so let me give Okay, okay. So I'll give you something useful. So basically, for a lot of people, what's happening is we'll deal with the nervous system. So there's different gradients to this. So at a basic level, something that's very practical is to shift you from a fear state or like a fight or flight state into a parasympathetic nervous system state. Again, you're not the body, but this is a useful technique. Is you inhale 4, exhale 8. And so that goes like this. So basically, let's go through it, but you have to do it 3 times. So let's actually do it, guys. Guys, let's do this. If you're watching this video, you're going to see after 3 rounds of this, you will feel like a different being. So it goes like this. So first, inhale fully and then exhale fully. So inhale, exhale. Okay, now inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2. No, you hold it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to do it again. I know. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very simple way that you can
Wow.
discharge. Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty awesome.
It's
I was,
it's very practical
yeah,
way. There's a lot of the easiest way to get out is just to decide. The moment you spot that you're having an emotion and you know that emotions are not, it's a particular frequency band. And most people are continuously in their life in this emotional frequency band. And when you can get above it, this is where all the amazing things in life can happen. So if you know that you're having an emotion, spot it and just choose for no reason at all to get out of it. And then choose
and how
again.
many times? 5 times, 4 times you said the whole process?
Times. Minimum 3, but you can do it 4, 5, or 6. This is a technique that I give to a lot of CEOs and lawyers that are in a high stress thing to discharge emotions because it's super fast.
Wow. I mean, I feel the shift in myself, honestly. I had some things that I was thinking about in the back of my mind, and I'm not anymore. Okay, so let's get on that. So that actually leads me into, so positive focus. I think we already kind of touched on. work-life balance. I know we've all been in a big shift right now. A lot of us, I think, are kind of on it. I think a lot of the stuff that we spoke about with Rae already today kind of touch on that. I think work-life balance is just figuring it out for yourself. I know a lot of people are home. Anybody with kids is homeschooling. Do you have any tips for the moms and dads at home, Rae? Like something really short, like 3 short tips in 30 seconds that we can give them to kind of help them maintain, maybe it's a mental shift in their mind that they can maintain this work-life balance for their children and their work right now?
Okay, so the first thing is I want to acknowledge that if you're at home with children and trying to work and have them homeschool, I want to acknowledge that that first off, it's challenging, and second, that you're strong and you're strong enough to be stable within it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the most important thing for you as you're like confronting that your children are being homeschooled, you have all kinds of chaos and you still have to work and deliver, is you need to acknowledge that you're amazing. This is the most important thing, that you are actually amazing. And that your abilities are profound. And you actually have to acknowledge this. You have to take a moment and say, wow, I'm amazing. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids and I'm running a business. And you have to, and it seems like I'm saying this because I want you to feel good about yourself, but the actual reason I'm saying this is that if you acknowledge that you're successful as can be, if you confront this, that will create a huge discharge of tension. And you have to acknowledge it regularly. Like, hey, I got my kids on the computer and they did their class. I'm amazing. And you have to do this regularly as a practice or a habit. If you must have a habit, this is one of the best habits you can do. Acknowledge that what's happened and you're doing it. And let's acknowledge this. You're doing it with the ground totally uncertain. You don't know when they're going to go back to school. You don't know what's happening with your business. And I'll acknowledge this. Acknowledge how amazing you are for confronting this shifting reality, and then decide to create. And what should you create? The first thing, and this is like a bit of a discharge too, is in your mind, create silly ideas, like new careers. Like, I'm going to be a rickshaw driver, like something really silly. I'm going to sell bananas on the street because yeah, I know it's super silly. I made my students do an exercise one time.
It gets you out of your own head so quickly.
Yes.
The most ridiculous. I love that. And I forgot that, Rae. Thank you.
The bad idea drill, like, just because it'll get you emotionally out of your
forgot. Yeah.
The bad idea drill, like come up with 36 bad career ideas. So I made my students do this because they love me and they think I'm super cool. And I give them a homework where they have to go home and they have to think of 36 different terrible, hilarious careers for me. Like, I'm going to change, and they're just, and they come back and then we share them, and it all of a sudden, number one, lets them know that I'm not different from them. Like,
yeah.
And second,
we don't have a lot of the same bad ideas.
Yeah. The second thing is that actually, when you come up with a lot of bad ideas, you'll get some really good ones as to what to do. So when I have students that are trying to create like a new project or anything, I make them run a bad idea drill for 30 minutes, and we do it as a group. We come up with the worst, stupidest, terriblest ideas intentionally, just bad. And then what you'll see is that all of a sudden you'll get, oh my God, a genius idea. And I've helped students start many companies this way. Literally, I have like a student who did a yoga pants company, and he didn't know what he wanted to do. We ran bad ideas for 30 minutes. So this, my love, yeah.
I think it also helps you. I think it also helps you appreciate where you are. Like, if you look at, there's some different coach mindset theories out there where you take yourself to this like deep dark place, and the worse the situation you get, then make it worse, then make it worse, then make it worse.
Yeah, this is another good one. Make it worse. What's worse than this? What's worse than I'm stuck at home with my kids in there? Well,
anyway,
so valuable. Yeah, that's
a good world of being at home, and it should prove to you what we can all really value, and that we all still have a lot to be thankful for. Other than that, so to help people get out of this clutter, to get themselves out of this fog, do you have a couple of quick tips to help people get refocused? Is it a breathing technique? Is it something you tell yourself? Is it just starting your day with the words of affirmation? What is it for you that you think other people can practice today that don't have this experience, that can just snap themselves back into focus?
Okay. So whatever you're seeing in your life, whatever, when you open your eyes and you look, and whether you like it or you dislike it, you are putting it there. And so so how do we change this? This is a very important thing. Everything in your life is around these dual points. So it's positive or negative, you like or dislike. And when you create this dual split, this is how the universe moves, this physical universe, is there's a duality, and this duality has a momentum of continuous change. So how do you begin to influence it? You make a decision to like things.
Yeah.
So you like the dirty dishes, you like the problem, and
Wow.
yeah, you like it. You
More
like the
controllers. That's huge.
you change
Wow.
it. You just decide that you like it. And at the same time, so you can have control over it, you also decide to dislike things you like. And so you begin to see
Sure.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, you play with it because you're so fixed. You're sure that I like this and I don't like this.
Yeah.
But the moment you start to play with it, all of a sudden these fixed controls that you're so sure are real dissolve, and you get the actual control that you put it there. You like
Wow.
it, you dislike it. You say you switch them, you swap, and you run drills on this. I like chocolate, I don't like chocolate. I like coffee, I don't like
Yeah.
chocolate. And you really go for it, not just like a thought. Like you really 100% go with the feeling, and you feel
I
it.
think it goes back to words too, and I think a lot of this, it's fun to play with sometimes, and there's different exercises that play with words and things like that. You know, little ninja back there. And you know, these are the kind of things, the words that like Ray's saying, is these things that can really change your life and shift your mind pretty quickly. And another one that's been big for me, and I think you kind of believe in the same thing, is the words you use, like I have to do this, I get to do this. There's a difference, and I think when you get to do something, you're more likely to get that task done in a better manner than I have to. I have to, for me, is chores. I have to is responsibility, but I have to is like I have to, but I might screw around, I might not. But if I get to it, it's like I get to do this, and I'm excited. I'm going to do this right now, because after I get to do this, I get to reward myself. Speaking of rewarding yourself, for all the homeschoolers right now, something that a buddy of mine, Kenny, said yesterday, and it really stuck with me. I have a lot of friends and colleagues and clients that are single parents or parents at home, dual parenting with the kids, but they're homeschooling nonetheless. Something he said, which was huge to me, is have your child be your accountability partner. It's hard to work from home. Listen, y'all are my heroes right now doing this.
Yeah, that's a
So
great idea, actually. I love it.
imagine telling your 5-year-old, hey, Sally, you know, I want to play with you so much, but you know what mommy has to do, because, you know, the kid, it's a have to, not a get to. There's a difference. But I'm just saying, they learn it with age. But the point is, mommy has to do these 5 things, and mommy has to make 30 phone calls today. When mommy makes 30 phone calls, Sally, we're going to eat ice cream and go play in the backyard with the ball, whatever it is. And then Sally's going to go, what? Wait a minute. I have to leave mommy alone so mommy can get her work done. And then if mommy gets her work done, I get to play and I get ice cream. So the idea is that then Sally, about every 10 minutes probably, mommy, how many calls did you make? Mommy, how many calls did you make? And mommy can be like 5, 10, whatever. But the point is, I think this is a really unique opportunity to enroll your kids in your business a little bit. It'll teach them some responsibility, and it might actually teach them a little bit of patience and help you get that time that you need to really get your stuff done. So that's kind of what I was thinking based off what my buddies.
Let me touch on this. So children are actually just small. They have a smaller body, but they're a complete human being. And one of the most beneficial things for a child is to actually be encouraged to assist the household. It's
Oh yeah.
It's so powerful. So if you want to melt children, is really ask them for help, not like a condescending, oh, I'm like mocking you somehow. Like really be like, hey, can you help me with this? And like, because this grants them beingness. You're just saying, hey, you're a being. And
Yeah.
you know, I'm really like, I love children and I melt children. And so many times, like I have parents that have trouble with children. And I'm like, I just talk to them like they're a being. I'm like, hey, you know, you're 4 years old. Can you help me with this?
They
And
are. They are. They're understanding their
totally, they're not like
they're
a separate,
they're
they're not a separate species. They're just basically a child is just has a smaller body, and they oftentimes they have really good intentions but not the best results. So you do that's it. Sometimes they try to do
I
something
really
that
love
doesn't work out. And so that's it. That's the only difference. And I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you something. The adults, they oftentimes don't have good results either. So
No, I
there's not a
agree.
big difference. And so if you have children, include them and actually be like, hey
Yeah,
guys, help me out. And like really be like, I need help, and show them the truth that you do actually need them. There's
yeah,
like, it's one of the most empowering things. And this goes into like I oftentimes I have students that will come to me and be like, Rae, can you give me a scholarship? So I don't do scholarships. I always do trade, and I trade for something
yes.
actually valuable. Yeah. So I'll ask them, what can you do?
They have to do something. The value is different. The value, I think, when you give somebody something for free, the value is different to them.
Look at this. Look at it this
I
way. Here's
think
the
if
deal.
they're working
Yeah,
for it.
you're right. You're right. But here's the other
Does that
side.
make sense?
So if I give you something for free and I don't ask you for anything, what I'm actually saying to you is you have nothing valuable that I want. And
Ooh,
that is what destroys people. And so why do I require something of my students? Not because I need something from them. It's because if I don't find something of value, I actually make them not. I actually make them I destroy them. So I
so
find
you're
something.
giving them value by having them trade. Yeah, that's. I learned that lesson as a kid, and I didn't know what it meant. And you reminded me of a Boy Scout trip where we traded this guy food for a song, and it was like in a high adventure camp way out in the mountains, probably in Pennsylvania, to be honest, or West Virginia or somewhere over there. And he traded us a song, and we're sitting around a campfire in this big teepee, and he goes, I want to accept this food from you. Thank you for cooking this food, but I don't have any food to give. And he goes, I want to trade you. And we're like, well, what, we're kids. We're like 10, 12, like, well, do you have a cool pocket knife? Do you have like a laser gun? What do you got? We're shooting like black powder rifles and throwing axes. We're like, well, I'll take a black powder rifle. And he's like, no, I'm gonna give you something you can take with you. And I'm like, yeah, like an axe. Like I have room in the back. I could put a black powder rifle. He's like,
I
no,
love
no.
it's all weapons. I appreciate that it's all like knives.
10 years old. Hey, listen, it was a lot of military kids in this group. Okay, so anyway. But anyway, so the point is, he goes, I'm going to give you something that you can all take with you. And we're like, 20 black powder rifles? And so he pulls out a guitar, and I'm like, oh, I have a guitar. You gonna need me a guitar? I have. And he's, we're kids. He's like, shut up. So we starts singing a song, and he teaches us the song, and it's the Bye Bye Miss American Pie. For whatever reason, that song stuck with me. But my point is that, and I didn't know how valuable this lesson was at 10 or 11. And we're trading this guy for food. He's giving us shelter. We're giving him food, but his trade for the food was the song. And my goodness, the value that I got, let me tell you, Rae, out of everything that this guy taught me, I remember his face. I remember his mannerisms. I remember so many things. And this is, I don't know, almost 30 years ago. And it stuck with me. And what stuck with me was the trade. And it was that he doesn't want, he wouldn't accept something for nothing. He wouldn't accept it. Now, as an adult, I go, holy crap, what is that? But let me tell you, it's anytime somebody tries to give me something, I've always been like, let me do something for you. I had someone a few years ago that gave me a necklace, and it was, I didn't know that I was doing something for him for several hours before this happened. I didn't know. I was just being me, being friendly. We're playing dominoes in Quay in front of a cigar shop, right? And I managed to finagle a bottle of rum from the liquor store, and the bar next.
By that, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, well, anyway, and so the bar next door brings us the carafe and the glass and the ice. So I'm tipping everybody and sharing, and like, well, come on over, have a glass of this rum. Long story short, I didn't realize that I was helping this guy do something. I had no idea, but he offered me this necklace at the end, and I felt so compelled to do something for him. And I didn't realize that I had. But the point is that trade is so valuable. And I think sometimes what we're trading, we might not see what value it holds for the other person, right? Which is why I think what you're saying is so true, where someone asks you for something for free, or they need a handout. I think that when you offer something, what you get in return can be so much bigger. And what you're offering, what you're trading can give such a high value.
I have to grab my plug, but I can hear you. My computer is about to close. You have to realize that if you don't take something from someone, you don't find something you actually want from them, you actually destroy them. Look at that. 1 second. Let me grab my plug. 1 second.
Okay, so some other points that I wanted to talk about with Rae was how to refocus amid the COVID-19 hysteria. We've kind of done that. I think, Rae and I have both given you lots of tips on ways to refocus, way to change your energy, mindset type things to do in the morning. I think we've done a really good job at that. Something else that I really wanted to touch on today was cutting out the noise. Cutting out the noise for me, a lot of the noise for me is internal. I'm my biggest cheerleader, but I'm also my biggest enemy sometimes when it comes to personal development, growth, and business even. So I think cutting out the noise for me, means just realizing, why am I doing this? Like, why did I start this Tiger Talks? Honestly, it's to give back. It's to help others. If I helped one person, I'd be really happy. If I helped 10, I'd be even happier. But the point is, I think cutting out the noise for me is understanding, why am I doing this? On top of that, it's limiting myself to social media. I haven't had cable in a long time, which helps, but then me getting on Facebook doesn't help, because I don't know if it's worse garbage than the cable, but the point is cutting out the noise, not listening to it.
Okay.
That's what helps.
Yeah. So when you say noise, let's define noise. Yeah. So
Distractions from your goals and from yourself.
You're at A and you want to get to B. You're at A, you want to get to B, and you start to go towards B, but then a dog barks, and then you get a Facebook notification, and then all of a sudden you're all the way up here and you never got to B. That's noise. So how do you cut out noise? By focusing your attention units on on the actual activity that you're doing. And if you have a lot of open cycles, you have a lot of things that are pulling your attention, you write them down, and you literally do this, guys. So it's not just like, oh, I thought about writing down. Take out either your phone or I don't care. And okay, this is what's pulling my attention. Make a whole damn list, and then commit to when you're going to handle them. Start and check off that list. Because why are you not getting from A to B? You have so many open cycles and everything distracts you. So that noise is all of this up and down wave movement so that you're not actually arriving at B. So how do you get out of the noise? You have to spot what noise is and actively do something about it.
Wow. Listen, then, the next thing I want to know, I know that's something you've been big into since you were a child. It's like yoga, meditation, and kind of higher thought type things. For all our friends at home that haven't gone through your course, or that really don't know what you do in that realm, or haven't taken one of your, let me tell you, the glow yoga. What's the name of the
Blacklight yoga? That was so much fun.
It's so much fun. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, for those at home that haven't done this with you or anyone else, do you have like a tip to getting started with yoga? A lot of people have a fear that I'm not flexible enough. Let me tell you, I wasn't flexible enough. I was able to do a really cool eagle pose to the point that I called it the Iron Eagle. Iron Eagle from the early 90s, the movie. So yeah, but like on one leg, let me tell you, the eagle is not an easy pose. And I would even throw in these to call it the iron, and I'd sing rock songs.
I'm taking that. That just got totally put in my courses. Iron Eagle is now a thing. Thank you, Nick. I'm taking that one.
I'll have to send you the video. But nobody starts off flexible, myself included. And I've started doing yoga again recently, slowly, too slowly if you ask me. And I'm definitely way off what I was. I mean, even just doing very simple poses, sometimes I'll lose my balance. So anyway, the point is, it's something that I think we can all get comfortable with, just like video, where if you don't turn on your camera and record it, you'll never get comfortable with it. Rae, do you have a couple of tips that people at home can do to get comfortable with yoga, to where they have the confidence to either do it at home, or potentially when these bans and stay-at-home orders lift, to go into a studio or hire someone like you to work with?
Listen, I do. Come to my online classes. I offer 4 or 5 a week. Yeah, 4 or 5 a week. And why should you take my classes?
Rae?
Yeah, so you go to worldyogainstitute.org, worldyogainstitute.org. And why should you take my classes? Well, honestly, I'm one of the best yoga teachers in the world. How do I know this? Because I train a lot of teachers. And if I could find someone who was better, I immediately adopt their ways. The main thing that I focus on is therapeutics. So I love to take people who are brand new to yoga and work with them. Most of our daily classes are accessible to the general population. And of course, if you want to work privately, you can either work with me or some of my students who are amazing therapeutic teachers. How do you confront it? You just do. We Saturdays I do a free global course. We usually have a couple hundred people in that class.
And that's on the worldyogainstitute.org.
You can just go there, and I'm not, we have a lot of resources on the website. You'll see all of the different courses, and if you want, I teach really like, it's a different way. So if you're used to like regular yoga and you come to take one of my classes, you'll see that it's very thorough, very precise, and very accessible to all levels. It's different asanas than you're used to. So
wow.
You just come to my classes. They're online now, so you've got no excuse, and it's really
no. And I think this goes back to the whole pivoting and shift too, where I think it's interesting how we're able to touch more people this way than before. Before it's like you have traffic and you have car time and this, and the bridge is up. For me, I live on an island, so the bridge is always up, and then I go to coffee. Now I can have coffee.
There's no more social pressure, so you don't have to walk into the room and then like try for an hour and a half. You can just sit there and watch me and be like, oh, I'll try this one move. Or no one's gonna see you and call you out, so you're totally in your comfort zone. You can just sit there and watch and be like, well, my hamstrings feel more flexible from watching her. And then, so it's totally like easy now. And you can write to me. I'm very easy to communicate with and be like, hey, Rae, I have this thing. And I'll be like, oh, well, here's the thing you want to do.
Rae is as cool on the phone, on Instagram, and in person as she is right now. This is one of the things that I love about her is she's Rae all the time. And, well, but listen, I think I'm the same way. And I made that part of my ethos a long time ago where how do I just be Nick or Tiger all the time? And that's it. And it's paddleboarding. It's silly. I have my little quirks, and that's okay. And I'm me full-time all the time. Listen, Rae, last question. Well, two last questions. One, meditation. I know that's a big part of your life and discovering yourself and looking deep. Meditation for beginners. Do you have any tips on, because that's a hard one. I do the Tony Robbins thing in the morning because I don't really know what to do on my own. I haven't done it enough to be confident enough sometimes to do it on my own. So I do like guided meditations. So many different speakers I love, and I love what they teach, yogis and different masters. Do you have some kind of like meditation tips for beginners, an easy place for them to look, something that they can start to get comfortable with this?
So let's define meditation first. So meditation is anything which puts you, the spirit, you, the boss, back in control of the various levels of the physical reality. So that, with that definition, that means that there's so many options. The next thing is that a meditative state, which means like serenity of your beingness, or like this. I don't want to say the word peace because there's a lot of like pacifist connotations with this, because I'm actually teaching be active. So meditation is a post effect. It's not something you do.
Wow.
It's something you are. So how do you get to this? By removing the things, the pictures and the things that are making you distorted. And that requires certain processes. So meditation is a post effect. It's something you arrive at. And you can do guided meditations, but for many people, for a lot of people, they actually make you in a worse condition, because you have to understand what your mind is first. And when you understand what your mind is, it's not a problem to navigate it. So what I generally teach is, don't try to meditate. Actually understand what the mind is, and take a mind science course, but take it from someone within my lineage, because there's a lot of people that will give you bullshit and you'll end up in a worse condition. If you get the right information, you'll see that naturally you're in present time. Here's a good idea to understand it. Thich Nhat Hanh, very famous mind science and meditation teacher, he was asked by students, you know who he is, amazing. He was asked by students how much he meditates every day. And this is what he did, and it was so beautiful. They're like, how much do you meditate? And he goes like this. Just like that. Just like, it's like, because he's a meditation master. He's just like a little, and he's like, all the time.
Like I'm meditating right now. Yeah, but that's exactly who he is.
it's a beingness, which is a serenity of beingness, which means that you're not in an emotional state. Why do you need to meditate? Because you don't understand what your emotions are or what the pictures in your mind are. When you understand those and how to deal with them, you naturally become meditative. And this is the problem with meditation, is that people think it's something you do. And so you sit and you force it, you try to fight with your pictures, you make yourself wrong, you're like, I'm terrible at this, and you create a whole you actually make yourself in a worse condition. What you need is to understand what your mind is, what you, the spirit, are, what your body is. And when you understand this, you improve the communication. You naturally become, there's no question like, oh, I don't meditate. I sit 0 moments of the day in meditation because I'm naturally meditative. I'm in present time.
Yeah. One of the times that I feel that way is about 30 minutes into paddleboarding. I have a lot going on. I always have so many things in my head, and I'm always, like I mentioned earlier, I'm always working on all these different levels of the chessboard at the same time, right? And so I think for me, sometimes a fun and sometimes difficult and challenging repetitive activity gets me into such a high level of meditation that all of a sudden it's like everything just disappears. And then even sometimes dolphins will come up on my right or my left or whatever, and I'll paddle and I'll be like, I'm still in my state, and I'm just stroke after stroke after stroke after stroke after stroke after stroke. And then I go, there was a dolphin. And I don't stop and go, dolphin, dolphin? It just passed by. Now I'll turn around and I'll go back and I go, oh my God, dolphin. But it's these moments, I think, of how do you get into this and what do you really do with the meditation, like you said. And I think it's living it every day. I have some days that I just feel like I'm in this state. And it's when I start off with my priming, my lemon water, my exercise. I start the day from my perfect day. And those days are the most beautiful days in the world. And so many blessings and beautiful things and challenges to learn from, they come at me. And I'm okay because I'm like, give me a challenge, give me a challenge. Throw more at me, man, because I got this. And the point is that those days that I'm so into my meditation, that I went to bed right, that I spent my night before right, and I woke up right, my God, my life is so much better on those days. And what I'm able to do for others is so much more powerful. Man, meditation, get into it. My last question for you, Rae, is what are you reading?
Ooh, okay. So let me show you.
Right?
Hold on. It's right here. I'm such a nerd. Hold on. Oh my
I think what you read is so important. Like I mentioned earlier about the songs you listen to, and I think that it's, well, what do we put in our bodies, whether it's food, like Rae said, she has a reason that she's vegan. I have a reason that I'm mostly vegan, flexitarian. But what you read, I think, is even more important because it's visual and it goes right into your brain. So I am that. Who's the author of that one? I can't see it on the. Oh wow. You have to pronounce that for me.
Oh really?
No,
Okay. Shri Nisargadatta Maharaj.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
Yeah. So this book is it's one of these amazing, it's a non-dualist book. And it's one of these books that you can just open anywhere and read from it. It's so beautiful, accurate, useful, elegant. So I highly, highly recommend. This was given to me by a dear friend of mine, dear friend who's a meditation master and basically super, super wealthy. This guy, like you would never believe, he's like 6'7". He builds data centers around the world. It's so successful.
You said 6'7". I got excited. I'm like, Tony Robbins? You know Tony Robbins?
No, but he's kind of one of these guys. He's this very, very, very profound human, giant human, so successful, lost hundreds of millions of dollars and made hundreds of millions of dollars. But he's just like a meditation master. And so he ordered a bunch of this and he just recently gave it to me. And it's so amazing. So I highly recommend this book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, so I think we're wrapping up here on the link that I can actually record on this program that we're using. Wow. I mean, Rae, as always, I love you so much. And it's such a pleasure to have you in my life. And every conversation should be like this. Just, I love the rawness and the level. Thank you so much for bringing that. I learned a lot out of this conversation. I have to imagine that a lot of other people at home will as well. So thank you again for that. Why don't you tell people really quick, like where can they find you? Where can they follow you?
I'm pretty easy to find. Rae, Rae, Indigo, like the color. yoga on Instagram, Facebook, worldyogainstitute.org. If you just if you Google me, you'll come up with a lot of things. Hopefully, most of them are good. I think they are. You know, I always say my horns hold up my halo. I'm a non-dual, which means I like all the dualities, but yeah, I think everything's pretty awesome. I'm easy to contact. I'm easy to communicate with. You can reach out to me, and yeah, you know, join and have fun, and let's create let's create a better world, because we can't go back to the before times. It's not coming again. We have to create a new world. And guys, that depends not just on me, but on you too.
I'm getting a lot of these from Facebook. A lot of our friends, Rodrigo Rosa, one of my really best friends in my life, really is. The guy's changed my life more ways than he's ever going to know. Rodrigo, muito obrigado, Ramon, Valeu. And Marilene is saying thank you as well. Some more poems for us. So, Rae, I just want to say thank you. You know, I'm really easy to get in touch with guys, as you know, Nick, Tiger, Quay. Thank you so much for joining the first episode of Tiger Talk.
This is so cool, Nick. Well done. Like, so much fun. Like, we always have such great conversations. So it was really nice to have it in public.
You're an exceptional human being, Rae, and it's amazing that not only can I have you in my life, but I can share it with others. I gotta say something though. If those of you who wonder, this is a collaboration of a few of my favorite artists. It's Mr. Bunny, you know, tiger and a pony walking to a bar. No, so Mr. Bunny did this beautiful bunny design here, and one of his proteges, Sophie Inc., helped do part of it. In the background, these waves that you see is from Rigo Leon Herrera. He is an amazing artist friend of mine from Cuba and has this awesome story of resilience, Rae. And he does these little, I don't know if you see in Wynwood, he does a lot of the big waves, and he does a lot of these little paper mache boats, and it's all about shaping your life and building your own dreams. So very inspirational for me. We did this in an open house, took graffiti, painted the mural. But I got to say thank you to these people, and thank you for all the people that inspire me and that have been there in my life and here for me now. Thank you for all those that are watching Tiger Talks. I can't wait to hear your comments and your thoughts and hear what you want to hear next. So, Rae, thank you again. You
Nick,
mean so much to me, and I really appreciate you.
You're such an amazing person. Thank you for being in my life, and I love you. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks or a month, and you know.
As soon as we can, I'll see you out in the wilderness if we have to go hiking at a social distance. All right, guys. Well, on that note, thank you so much. Thank you all. Bless you. And I hope you are all taking some of these tips. You know, we really go out of our way to give you some good takeaways and give you some actionable items today. If there's some things that you want to see in the next video cast, please let us know. Comment down below. Like our video and let us know what you think. Love you guys.
Love you guys. Thank you. Bye.